Good evening, everyone. I hope that you guys have pretty much finished off with whatever you were busy with since we had finished off the last class at around 5:30 in the evening. Of course, in terms of constitutional law, right? In terms of constitutional law, we were, of course, discussing important constitutional offices, and we continued with that discussion even today in the afternoon. So, what we will be doing in this session is, of course, we will be wrapping up the important constitutional offices, particularly in relation to the armed forces and so on. And then we will move on. To Article 20 of the Constitution, which is certain protections that are provided to people who are accused in criminal cases, right? So that's the plan. Hello, Daksh. Very good evening to you as well. Good evening, Daksh. क्या चल रहा है? Dinner कर लिया, Daksh? Are you, I don't know, you guys take early dinner or depending on what your habits are. Huh? Just wanted to cross check. Okay, those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I'm Debajyoti Das. I graduated from HNLU and I was also All India Rank 20 in NLSIU Bangalore entrance of 2006. I've also been a Microsoft Intellectual Property Research Scholar, and I ultimately ended up working with one of the top law firms of this country, which is Amarchand Mangaldas, and I used to specialize in their capital markets team. And now, of course, I am also going to be helping you with your entrance preparation for the time being. You can, of course, join me on my Telegram group, right? I kept saying channel for a long time, but I think now I'm very, very clear that it's not a channel, because in a channel, you are not allowed to speak. And in a group, you are, of course, going to be able to post your questions and so on as well. That's the link right there. And the name of the channel is Debd Legal. Please do feel free to join in. And those of you who are looking to take up any of the various subscriptions, please do feel free to use my code, that is DEB10, if you like my lectures, right? Keeps me motivated as well to bring you more and more awesome content so that it can be more and more helpful for your overall preparation process. I'm sure all of you are aware of the various unique features of the Unacademy Plus as well as the special classes platform, right? That is among other things. Of course, we will have the live sessions as well as quizzes and access to the various mock tests and so on. But the one thing which I think is pretty unique is the raise a hand and talk to the educator feature, which is uniquely available only on the Unacademy platform. You can feel free to join us on the Rankers batch, which is the 2-year comprehensive batch of CLAT 2023. Enrollments are already on, of course, and the batch launch is today. It's already happened, right? So those of you who have not joined in, now is the time to quickly make the most of it. And also on the platform, you have the option of using the live quiz feature for the students, which means you can schedule your own quizzes, stuff that you usually do on a chat box or on a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group, easier to do on the platform. And the same features are there for the various special classes as well. Something which is unique and a little new that's happening right now is the bugs bounty, which means if any of you have access to or are able to find anything about any inappropriate content that is available not just on the YouTube platforms but also on the various Unacademy special and plus classes platform, if you're able to find anything and you report it, and we believe that we agree with you that that's something going wrong, well, I mean, you will be able to claim a particular prize for pointing out the inappropriateness and so on in that particular content, right? So happy hunting, everyone. Happy hunting, right? No, sir, not yet. I take my dinner around 11 in the night. Aha, nice, Daksh. Okay, I'm also usually a late dinner kind of a person, though I am, of course, repeatedly told by mom, dad, every single elder, and unfortunately even by doctors I mean, the doctor friends that I have, not that I had to go to the hospital for it, but people keep telling me early dinner is the better and the healthier way of kind of living life. But theek hai, I'm sure at your age doesn't doesn't really matter at all, right? So quick recap, guys, once again for the last time. Quick recap, important constitutional offices. There are four important things. There are four important things that we need to follow, right? That we need to keep a track of. That is the eligibility, the appointment procedure, the tenure, as well as the removal process as far as the various important constitutional offices are concerned. We have looked at a lot of important political offices ranging from president, prime minister to the MPs of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, Vidhan Sabha, MLAs, MLCs, cabinet ministers, speaker. We've looked at a lot of political offices. We've also, in today afternoon session, right, yesterday we looked at those things. In today's session, we have also looked at, right, and you can find all of these videos right here on the Legal Game channel, right? The part 2 and part 3 is where we've looked at the various important offices. And of course, we've also looked at legal and judicial offices ranging from judges of Supreme Court, High Court, lower judiciary, the Panchayati Raj system of elections, the first past the post system, right, where you don't need a direct majority, but rather whoever has the highest number of votes, right, whoever has the highest number of votes basically, right, basically is the winner of that particular election, right? So we are of course going to be looking at such other things in the future as well. In the meanwhile, moving on, right, moving on, so you can guide me a bit on how to prepare GK. Well, I mean, Daksh, I think the simplest and the most comprehensive way, let me put it simpler, the way I prepared, right, the way I managed to get the All India rank 20 and so on, I believe the best way to go about it is to look at newspapers with as much attention as possible, right? The more you read newspapers, it just covers so many things, right? If you look at newspapers, it just covers so many things from, particularly for somebody who is decently curious. Like, you could start with something as simple as Lakhimpur incident. Okay, I just want to put that in perspective, right? If you read the headlines about Lakhimpur Khedi, okay, you will see that the protests are about the farm bills, right? Okay, so if the protests are about the farm bills, then that means you probably need to know what the various farm laws are. And again, just if you want to take a look at the various farm laws, of course, I have specifically taken a session a few days back in this channel itself, right, about the various farm bills. The three important farm laws that are there. One is an amendment to the Essential Commodities Act and so on. So you know about it. So again, if you're reading about something that's happening at the Singhu border, or if you've read about Shaheen Bagh, right, you will automatically read about the Citizenship Amendment Act. So if you're just a little curious, just giving it a little attention, trying to find out extra things on your own, apne aap, you will look at the Constitution, you will look at the various provisions on citizenship. You will find out that part 2 of the Constitution covers citizenship. There is the Indian Citizenship Act of 1955, which has been amended 5-6 times, by the way, right? And this is the 6th amendment, which has become, so much of a controversy. Now, I think it's also important, while we're at it, it is also important that you learn the art of ignoring purely political news. Okay, if something is purely political news, that is something you should be looking to avoid also, right? कि लखीमपुर खीरी इंसिडेंट में प्रोफेसर राम गोपाल ने क्या बोला, अखिलेश यादव ने क्या बोला, in response Narendra Singh Tomar, who's the agriculture minister of India, what did he say? These are things that can be quite distracting at many times. So you of course need to avoid Of course, you need to avoid those kind of things. But at the same time, yeah, GK, yeah, if you just read newspapers for 3 to 4 months with some degree of seriousness, right? With some degree of seriousness, you will definitely realize that that's the way to go about it. That's how your GK syllabus can be more than taken care of, right? So you don't have to worry too much about the GK syllabus, right? Okay, let's come back to our discussion. आज के लिए हम लोग को क्या डिस्कस करना है? Again, we have the three branches of the armed forces, right? We have three branches in the armed forces, that is the army, the navy, and of course the air force, right? So what are the things that you should be knowing about each of these things? First of all, you should know who is the chief of each of these. So please tell me from a GK perspective, who is the current chief of the Indian Army? Anybody knows the name? सबको नाम पता होना चाहिए ना. Chief of Indian Army, the COAS as the person is referred to, Chief of Army Staff. किसी को पता है? Chat box में ये खामोशी. Okay, sir, but actually I'm too much into it, but really trying to avoid it. Thank you. Too much into newspapers? Well, I mean, shouldn't be too much of a problem, right? Jesta Manoj Mukund Naravne, very good, Jesta. That's the full name, right? General Manoj Mukund Naravne. Similarly, you should also be knowing who is the Air Chief Marshal. Should also be knowing who is the Admiral of the Indian Navy. And of course, CDS is a new post, right? CDS is a Combined Defense Chief, right? Combined Chief of Defense Staff. So Chief of Defense Staff का ये जो post है, this was not existing earlier, right? For the first time, the first CDS that we have ever had, right? The first one is of course General Bipin Rawat, who was earlier the Chief of Indian Army. He is the first person to hold the office of the Chief of Defense Staff. Now, it doesn't have to be from the army, of course, and each of these officers are obviously, these are people who are appointed by the central, right? These are ultimately people who are appointed by the central government, and retirement ka age fixed hota hai, this, that, and the other. There could be extensions in certain circumstances, and so on. And of course, the process is until, the tenure is until retirement, right? Okay, Daksh, so if I read the newspapers religiously, then I have to attend GK classes as well. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right, Daksh? It doesn't hurt to attend GK classes, and plus, I mean, obviously the educators are bringing something extra to the table. So if you think that something is not relevant and completely जो तुम्हें पूरा ही पता है उस टाइप का कोई discussion हो रहा है, you can of course leave the class and move on, right? But if there is something new being discussed, you might as well like keep listening to it. अच्छा कुछ भी नया होगा तो वहीं note down कर लेंगे, and so on, right? So I'm too much into politics actually. Is that what I meant? Okay, yeah, too much into politics is not. No, I mean, be active in politics. Nobody is saying no to that. That's, as an educated citizen of the nation, I think it is, in the words of Ram Jethmalani, it is the duty of every active, awakened citizen to participate in the great dance of democracy. But you need to separate the politics from the academics, right? Because our priority and the most important thing for us obviously is कि एग्जाम में क्या क्या पूछा जा सकता है, and we of course have to make sure that we are not missing out on such information. Okay, now do we have 5-star ranks? So these people, right, General, Air Chief Marshal, ये सब 4-star rank officers हैं, right? These are all 4-star rank officers. So do we have anybody who is also a 5-star rank officer? Have we ever had, do we still have people who are, 5-star rank officers? Anyone knows any 5-star rank officers? Some of them are really famous लोगों में थे. किसी को जानते हैं आप लोग? Of course, this is different from Paramveer Chakra, right? Those are gallantry awards, right? Paramveer Chakra is the highest gallantry award as far as the military is concerned, right? और परमवीर चक्र के साथ पैरेलल सेम रैंक का एक और जो हाईएस्ट मिलिट्री अवार्ड है, that is also the Ashoka Chakra. So what's the difference between Paramveer Chakra and Ashok Chakra? Paramveer Chakra is given for war time, right? During war, if somebody has done great courage, valor and so on, then you are given the Paramveer Chakra. But without war also, there are so many situations where every single day we see so much evidence of valor, courage, bravery, you know, and such other words where people, not just people who are in the military, but even non-military civilian personnel, right? Police personnel, right? Like Ashok Kamte in the 26/11 attacks in Mumbai, or for that matter, Shri Tukaram Omble, right? You guys know who's Tukaram? Tukaram Omble is the person because of whom we caught Ajmal Kasab alive, right? We caught Ajmal Kasab alive. So he was from Maharashtra police, Mumbai police, right? So he was also given the Ashoka Chakra because he fired bullets into Tukaram Omble, and of course Shri Omble died on the spot, and so on. So चलो परमवीर चक्र के बारे में भी हम लोग कुछ जाने. अशोक चक्र also we figured out something. What are 5-star rank officers? It's an honorary position, right? So normally during active service, the highest rank that you will get will basically be 4 stars, right? Army के general बन गए तो chief of army staff is 4-star rank. The chief of defense staff is also, General Bipin Rawat is also a 4-star rank, right? Till date in the history of India, we have had only 3 officers, right? We've had only 3 officers in the history of the entire nation. Only 3 officers, okay, who have been given the honorary 5-star rank. Which are these 3 officers? One of them, very famous 1971 war, all of you must have heard about General Sam Manekshaw, right, who was the chief of Indian Army. And when he was conferred with a 5-star rank, he was conferred with the rank of Field Marshal, right? Army ka 5-star rank hoga to it is Field Marshal, right? That is the rank that General Manekshaw was conferred with. And along with General Manekshaw, there is also General Cariappa, right, or Field Marshal K.M. Cariappa, who was also conferred with the 5-star rank. And the only other person, the third person, is not from the Indian Army. He is from the Indian Air Force, right? That is current Air Force Chief ka kya hai? Air Chief Marshal, right? And he was conferred with the rank of Marshal of the Indian Air Force. Marshal of the Indian Air Force, that is Air Marshal Arjan Singh. Air Marshal Arjan Singh is the only other person who has been conferred with a 5-star rank as far as the Indian Armed Forces combined में भी देखें तो 3 लोग को आज तक 5-star rank दिया गया है. General Manekshaw, General Cariappa and Air Marshal Arjan Singh. Right? Clear guys. 3 लोगों को दिया गया है आज तक. Just some important facts that you should try to remember. Any doubts guys? Any questions? Any questions over the last 2 to 3 lectures combined? Also, if you have any questions from part 2 or part 3 which dealt with the other important constitutional officers also, please do let me know. Otherwise, let us move on to Article 20 of the Constitution of India. Article 20 of the Constitution basically provides for 3 kinds of protections, right? provides for three kinds of protections to people who are accused in criminal cases. What are these three protections? Ex post facto laws, that means future laws cannot be applied from a previous date, etc. We discuss karenge in detail. Of course, I will discuss each one of these protections. The second is the protection of double jeopardy. Double jeopardy, that is, you cannot be prosecuted and punished for the same offense, right? Bar bar nahi kar sakte. And the third one is the right against self-incrimination. That means you cannot be compelled, you cannot be forced to be a witness against yourself. You have the right to remain silent, just like under Article 19, you have the freedom of speech. Okay, under Article 19, you have the freedom of speech, but sirf freedom of speech nahi hai, freedom of silence. The right not to speak is also a fundamental right as far as the Constitution of India is concerned. Okay, so let's look at the first thing, that is ex post facto laws. Okay, Daksh says, sir, you have a question. Is that what you are trying to say, Daksh? If you have a question, yes, please feel free to put it on the chat box. Okay, ex post facto laws. So actually I have M. Lakshmikant book, and in that book there's nothing written about Army, Navy, etc. So no problem. But so what's the question? अगर पूछेंगे आंसर तो अब तो बता ही दोगे, हमने तो डिस्कस कर ही लिया है. तो लक्ष्मीकांत में अगर नहीं भी लिखा है तो should not be a barrier to answering questions, right? We would still be able to answer those questions, right? Okay. Ex post facto laws. The idea is that whatever act you are committing, right? Whatever act you are committing, it must be an offense at the time of its commission, at the time when the act is committed, right? At the time when the act is committed, it should already be defined as an offense. If something is not already an offense, if something is declared to be an offense in the future, right? If something is declared to be an offense in the future, then that, right, then that is not a law. That is not an offense as far as your own liability is concerned. For example, let's say if we are talking about possession of some product. Now that product is not prohibited anywhere as of today. That product is not prohibited anywhere. It is not illegal for me to be in possession of that particular product. What happens is, today I was caught with XYZ product, and day after tomorrow, the Narcotics Control Bureau or the Parliament of India, जो भी है सब notify किया गया कि देवज्योति के पास ये जो चीज मिली थी, ये तब लॉ में ये नहीं लिखा कि देवज्योति के पास मिली थी. The law simply said the possession of this particular goods is a criminal offense. Okay. But when I was caught today it was not illegal, right? So should I be punished with a future law? Should I be punished with a law that was not even informed to me? Should I be held responsible? Should I be held responsible for possessing something which was perfectly legal, which was perfectly permitted at the time when I was possessing it? भाई चावल खाना इलीगल नहीं है, मैं चावल खा रहा था, तो अब आज तो इलीगल नहीं था, आज मैं खा रहा था, तो if tomorrow you declare that to be illegal, I should not be punished with the future laws, right? Before coronavirus came, wearing a mask was not compulsory. So people used to go to the malls, people would go to the movie theaters, educational institutions were open, coaching institutions were open on the offline platform, things were happening. A new law came that wearing a mask is compulsory in public place. Wearing a mask, otherwise you will be charged with this much fine. So even before the law came, when I was not wearing a mask, I cannot be fined for that time, right? I cannot be fined for that time. It is only after the law has come. Now if I am not wearing a mask, right? अब मुझे पनिश करो. जब 2019 का वीडियो निकालोगे कि देवज्योति आइनॉक्स में मूवी देखने गए थे तुमने मास्क नहीं पहना. अरे उस टाइम मास्क पहनना कंपलसरी नहीं था, मैंने इसलिए नहीं पहना था, राइट? जब से आपने कंपलसरी किया है मैं तब से मास्क पहन रहा हूं, राइट? So that's the kind of idea, that's the kind of philosophy what we are looking at when it comes to ex post facto law, that a future law should not be applied. The act that I have committed must be an offense at the time of its commission. So when I did it, if it is an offense at that time, I understand. Otherwise, it is obviously a problem, right? I hope everybody is getting this basic idea. Now, the second part of it is, please also remember, जब हम कोई नया पनिशमेंट ला रहे हैं, जब हम किसी चीज का पनिशमेंट इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं, एक नए चीज को क्राइम बता रहे हैं, राइट? Penal law, criminal law, burdensome law, when we are increasing the punishment, creating a punishment, that cannot be applied with retrospective effect. That cannot be applied from a previous date. But beneficial law can be applied from a previous date. Now, what is the reason? अब क्रिमिनल लॉ तो क्यों नहीं अप्लाई कर रहे हैं? ऑल ऑफ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड कि बताया ही नहीं तो इसीलिए मैंने मास्क नहीं पहना था, राइट? मेक सेंस. तो अब बेनिफिशियल लॉ को क्यों अप्लाई करेंगे? व्हाई? बिकॉज लेट्स से, लेट्स लुक एट अनदर एग्जांपल. सेक्शन 377 लिखा हुआ है. ऑल ऑफ यू नो सेक्शन 377. यू हर्ड ऑफ this particular provision. Section 377 of the IPC is basically, earlier it included the idea of homosexuality, right? Homosexuality was a criminal offense. Homosexuality was a criminal offense. Now, as far as homosexuality is concerned, Section 377 does not directly deal with it. First of all, this is a very popular confusion that people have. 377 जो है वो directly homosexuality के बारे में नहीं है. What does 377 actually talk about? It talks about unnatural sexual offenses. Okay, that's what the law actually talks about. Section 377, unnatural sexual offenses. Now, what interpretation, what understanding of the law are we going to apply? That also can vary depending on who is making that interpretation. तो अब consistently for a prolonged period of time, for a long time, like more than 1.5 centuries tak, the understanding of this law was homosexuality is itself unnatural. Now, because homosexuality is unnatural, the practice of homosexuality will be covered under 377 because unnatural sexual intercourse हो गया, unnatural sexual interaction हो गया, जो भी है. So it is unnatural, so therefore it is a crime. Then in the last few years, we finally had matter going to the Delhi High Court in the Naz Foundation case. Right? In the Naz Foundation case, the Delhi High Court for the first time For the first time, the Delhi High Court said, no, homosexuality is not a crime, homosexuality is not unnatural, and therefore it falls within the definition, it does not fall within the definition of 377. तो जब unnatural नहीं है तो crime भी नहीं होगा, ठीक है, अच्छी बात है. Supreme Court again reversed the position, again homosexuality became a crime. ठीक है, वापस से criminalize हो गया. And finally in the Navtej Singh Johar case, right? What is the name of the case? Navtej Singh Johar case. The Honorable Supreme Court of India decriminalized homosexuality, right? Decriminalize kar diye, homosexuality is no longer going to be a crime. But what I'm trying to point out is, let's say the homosexuality का judgment जो है decriminalize हो गया, right? Decriminalize हो गया, and this judgment came on, let's say, I don't remember the exact date, but let's say July 31st 2020 को मान लो order आया. So decriminalization happened in July. And now there are some people who have been arrested, who have been detained, who are already in jail, say from July से पहले होगा ना, June, March, April, May, January, पिछले साल 2019 में 18, 17, people have already been arrested. People have already been put in jail because that's what the understanding of the law was until the Supreme Court changed it. So पुराना law apply कर रहे थे, लोगों को जेल में डाला गया था. But the point is that if we, as part of the overall society, if we no longer believe that homosexuality is a crime, should we continue to put these people in jail? अभी भी नहीं, ठीक है, लॉ तो हट गया है, अब ये मानते नहीं है हम, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने भी बोल दिया कि ये क्राइम नहीं है, लेकिन जो भी है आप जेल में ही रहिए. Does it really make sense? See, if we don't believe something is a crime anymore, if the law itself has already been changed, right? If the law itself has already been changed, we need to extend that benefit. We need to extend that benefit to people who might still be suffering inside the jails. So that's why you will see that beneficial laws, जहां भी crime हम हटा रहे हैं, adultery, right? Adultery is another thing which is under section 497. Okay, section 497 of the IPC used to be the offense of adultery. So adultery भी अब हमने बोल दिया that this is not a crime anymore. Adultery is also not a crime. So again, if somebody is in jail because of adultery and we don't think it is a crime anymore, what we will do is we will give that person that benefit. Beneficial law, right? Beneficial law will be applied. Beneficial law will be applied with retrospective effect, right? Beneficial law can be applied with retrospective. That means from a previous date, right? Any questions? Any questions? Any doubts? No questions. Let us move on to another protection, that is the protection of double jeopardy. Double jeopardy. Now, इसमें क्या है? Simple type of protection. It's not a very complicated protection. If you are already prosecuted and punished for an offense, right? If you are already prosecuted and punished for an offense, you cannot be punished or prosecuted for the same offense, right? You cannot be prosecuted for the same offense again, right? Okay, Jesta has a question on the chat box. Sir, why was the law not retrospective in the Nirbhaya case? So in the Nirbhaya case, we were increasing the punishment, right? That's not a beneficial law. We were increasing. So increase in punishment और increase in liability, उसमें beneficial law नहीं था ना, benefit हटा रहे थे in fact, right? If you are a 17-year-old boy under the old law, before Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2015, under the old law, you would get punishment only under Juvenile Justice Act, right? So new law में क्या हुआ? New law, that is after 2015 amendment, if you are 17-year-old but serious punishment, serious offense like murder, right, or rape, etc., then your punishment will be under IPC, correct? Then your punishment will be under IPC. So the punishment is not under Juvenile Justice Act में lesser punishment है. So this amendment, is it a beneficial law for the accused? No, it's not a benefit, right? We are increasing the liability. कि पहले 17 साल में थे तो आपको आईपीसी में हम नहीं पनिश करेंगे, सिर्फ जुवेनाइल जस्टिस एक्ट में. अब हम बता रहे हैं कि आपको ज्यादा पनिशमेंट मिलेगा. तो ज्यादा पनिशमेंट मिलेगा वो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव नहीं हो सकता. सिर्फ अगर रिडक्शन या डीक्रिमिनलाइजेशन हो रहा है वो रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव हो सकता है, राइट? Okay, Daksh has a question as well. Sir, adultery means what? Adultery means extramarital affair, right? जो पहले का law था, पहले का law क्या था? That if you are having an affair with a married woman, right, then the person who is having the affair will be criminally liable. That's what the law was. So what we are saying is, okay, we don't want to encourage adultery, obviously. ये नहीं है कि we are okay with adultery, बढ़िया है, adulterous चलता रहे मामला. As a society, we are not in favor of adultery. It's just that adultery, even today, adultery is a valid ground. Adultery is a valid ground to claim divorce, right? अगर आपको divorce भी चाहिए तो adultery is a valid ground to claim that divorce. But if two consenting adults are engaging in sexual relations, तो उन्हें जेल भेजने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? So that's the only difference. ठीक है, उनका private married relationship तो खत्म कर सकते हैं, वो आपस की बात है उनकी, and we are giving the person every right to seek a valid ground for divorce and so on. But is it really something for which we need to put people in jail? Because criminal law अगर हम देख रहे हैं तो criminal law मतलब you must be a threat to the society itself, right? Compensation भी नहीं, jail भेजना है. So you have to be treated as a threat to the society at large. Now if two consenting adults are having sexual intercourse with each other, they're really not a threat to the society at large, right? Okay, they're causing problems within their own marriages and so on. तो उसके लिए हम allow किए कि ठीक है, आप divorce तो बिल्कुल लीजिए, आपको लेना है तो आपकी मर्जी है. But इन दोनों को जेल भेजने की जरूरत नहीं है. दोनों को तो पहले वैसे भी नहीं भेजते थे. It was only the man who was being put in jail. So वहाँ पर equality का भी कुछ problem था, that man and woman have an affair, only the man was being prosecuted and punished because the law did not create any liability for the woman, right? So that's sort of ठीक है. अब ये outrageous type के laws हम लोग follow नहीं करते हैं, right? Okay, moving on. Double jeopardy. So if you have already been prosecuted and punished, right, एक बार आपने चोरी की, जो चोरी था उस चोरी का केस भी हुआ, you were prosecuted and you were put in jail. Even if you were put in jail for 3 days or 30 days or 1 day, जो भी है, you will not be punished for the same offense again. You will not be punished for the same offense again. Now, please understand, there is a big difference between same offense and same nature of offense. Same offense and same nature of offense are different things. For example, murder of person A is one offense. Okay, murder of person B is a separate offense. Murder of person B is a separate offense. This is a very popular confusion. कई लोग इसमें बहुत confuse होते हैं. That's why I just wanted to make it clear, right? वो अरे वो पहले भी मर्डर किया था, अभी भी मर्डर किया है. नहीं, पहले तो दोनों का नेचर ऑफ ऑफेंस सेम है, राइट? पहली बार भी मर्डरर था, अभी भी मर्डरर है, ठीक है, राइट? बट द ऑफेंसेस आर डिफरेंट. मर्डर ऑफ ए इज वन ऑफेंस, मर्डर ऑफ बी इज अनदर ऑफेंस, राइट? सो टू डिफरेंट ऑफेंसेस. फिर से मर्डर करोगे, फिर से जेल जाओगे. ऐसा नहीं कि एक बार जेल से छूट गया, अब तो आप जितना भी मर्डर करिए कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. दैट वुड बी अ क्रेजी लॉ, राइट? That would be a completely crazy law, and we don't want that kind of crazy law. What we are looking at is obviously every new offense that you commit, even if it is the same nature, right? A के घर पे चोरी की, फिर B के घर पे चोरी की, फिर B के पड़ोसी के घर पे चोरी की, तो all of it are new offenses, right? Got it, everyone? Another important word that you guys have to understand here, another very important word, is basically this word prosecuted. No person can be prosecuted and punished for the same offense twice, right? Prosecuted and punished for the same offense twice. So again, इसमें भी बहुत बार confusion होता है. That's why I want to take this opportunity to clarify it as much as I can. Let's say A has slapped person B. Okay, से simple रखते हैं. A slapped B. Okay. Then what happened? B filed a tort case. B filed a tort case for battery. If B filed a tort case for battery is the intentional use of force against another person. So B ने क्या किया? tort का केस कर दिया. Later on, B went and filed an FIR also. I mean, went and filed a complaint, and on the basis of the complaint, the FIR was registered. Okay. So B ने अलग से जाके criminal case भी कर दिया. Will A be protected? Is person A going to be protected in this case? What do you guys think? Yes or no? In this case, will A be protected or not? The correct answer is A will not be protected in this case, right? Person A will not be protected in this case because जो पहला वाला tort case है, the first case, which is a tort case for battery, right? उसमें prosecution means only criminal case, right? Prosecution tort case में नहीं हो सकता. Tort case cannot be a prosecution. Prosecution happens only in criminal cases. Tort case में हम क्या कहते हैं? Plaintiff and defendant, right? We use the words plaintiff and defendant. But criminal case में the phrase that we use is prosecution and defendant, right? Criminal case में prosecution and defendant होता है. So please remember, जब तक criminal case एक बार नहीं हुआ है, until until a criminal case has not happened at least once. At least once. Till that time, the protection does not apply. Right? So कंपनी में सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट का केस हुआ, क्लैट में आया ही था, CLAT 2021, I think 2021 only. There was a whole question on 2020 or 2021, I don't remember, but either this year or last year there was a whole question that अगर sexual harassment एक company में किसी के against हुआ है, right, and that person के against the company initiates disciplinary proceedings, right, और डिसिप्लिनरी प्रोसीडिंग्स होने के बाद जब तक खत्म हुआ, क्या हुआ कि क्रिमिनल केस शुरू हो गया था, तो कंपनी ने भी कहा कि ओके वी विल नॉट डिसाइड दिस केस, वी विल वेट फॉर द कोर्ट टू डिसाइड. So then the court went ahead and then the court made their own decision, right? The court went and court made their own decision, and the court's decision was that he is guilty. Court said guilty है. अब कोर्ट के guilty बोलने के बाद कोर्ट ने भी 6 महीने की सजा सुना दी, punishment. The company also fired him. Is this double jeopardy? Is he being punished twice? No, he is not. Because in this case reverse हो रहा है. The only thing is this is reverse. कि जो पहले जजमेंट हुआ वो जरूर क्रिमिनल केस था, but anyway जो कंपनी में हो रहा है that is not a prosecution. So चाहे पहले हो या बाद में हो, anyway criminal prosecution can happen only once, right? That's the whole idea, that criminal prosecution can happen only once. So अगर एक बार हो चुका है, दूसरा वाला कंपनी में है तो दूसरा वाला प्रोसिक्यूशन नहीं है, पहले टॉर्ट हुआ बाद में क्राइम हुआ तो पहला वाला क्राइम नहीं था, तो 2 बार प्रोसिक्यूशन नहीं हो रहा है. In any case as long as one criminal case is happening, it's not a problem. Now the last thing I want all of you to understand is that when it comes to appeal, let's say एक criminal case ADJ साहब के पास है, okay, the ADJ passes an order, that case can still go in appeal, right? ADJ is empowered to give death penalty also, तो death penalty दिया या डेथ पेनल्टी नहीं दिया मान लो, the matter can still go in appeal, because appeal में जब जा रहा है to the high court and then to the supreme court, appeal में जब जा रहा है that is not a second prosecution, it is the same prosecution जो कंटिन्यू हो रहा है जब तक फाइनली सुप्रीम कोर्ट का फाइनल जजमेंट, रिव्यू पिटिशन, क्यूरेटिव पिटिशन, जीवन के सब कुछ जो है वो बेसिकली एफआईआर नंबर सेम ही होगा ना, उसी एफआईआर पे पहले लोअर कोर्ट में केस हो रहा है, फिर हाई कोर्ट में हो रहा है, फिर सुप्रीम कोर्ट में हो रहा है. सो इट्स नॉट अ न्यू प्रोसिक्यूशन, इट इज सिंपली द सेम प्रोसिक्यूशन which is continuing, right? It is basically simply the same prosecution which is continuing, and that kind of prosecution is of course absolutely permitted if something is simply going in appeal. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear? Any doubts? Any questions till now? Yes sir, perfect. So no questions, I assume. Sir, how to abstain from, I don't know. what kind of a weird question is that? How to abstain? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Develop the right ambition. I don't know, because if you if anybody is distracted by such thoughts, of course at the end of the day what is going to happen is you will become a failure, because won't be able to qualify any examination, बेइज्जती अलग से होगी, तो वो थॉट्स ही बन के रह जाएंगे, फेलियर अलग से लाइफ का सच बन जाएगा नहीं. सही, लास्ट वाला पॉइंट समझ रहे हैं. हाँ, आई एम कमिंग टू इट. सी समटाइम्स व्हाट हैपेंस, it is also possible it is also possible, if you look at it, constitution में क्या दिया हुआ है, persecution, prosecution and punishment अगर हो चुका है ना, तो फिर second time कभी नहीं हो सकता. But if you look at the CRPC, this and वाला part, and punished, this is not there, right? No person can be prosecuted for the same offense twice. इतना ही दिया हुआ है. So the CRPC does not have this requirement. The CRPC does not have this additional, requirement that you need to be punished also. सिर्फ prosecuted भी है, then also protection will apply. But so which means if you are prosecuted and there are two possibilities, right? Punish ही नहीं हुआ, मान लो you are found to be innocent. If you are innocent also, then also the CRPC protection will apply, right? Because CRPC में wider protection है. नहीं भाई, prosecution हो चुका है, उतने में ही बात खत्म कर रहे हैं. Okay, so it is a major problem in students' life, but no one discusses it. Major problem? Are we really going to go so far as to call that as a major problem? I'm just not convinced as much. I understand it's a distraction every once in a while and stuff like that, but major problem तो कैसे ही हो सकता है? नहीं. In fact, how I would look at it is, how are people not completely obsessed? How is anyone not obsessed by wanting to go to Harvard, by wanting to go to NLS, by wanting to get a job at Amarchand? अरे मतलब गोवा में पार्टी करने की, भाई गोवा में क्यों, मतलब डेफिनेशन ही बदल जाएगा अपने आप. माउंटेन्स will mean Switzerland and beaches will mean Sydney, and SL World की जगह I personally liked Hong Kong Disneyland much more than any of the other places, so उस type का, that's what I would think. Okay, let's come back to this. So it is possible that you are found innocent also. CRPC में मैं बता रहा था, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में अगर प्रोसिक्यूशन पनिशमेंट बोथ, इसमें अगर बोथ हुआ है, देन यू गेट द प्रोटेक्शन. ओके, एंड चाहे जो हो जाए सेकंड प्रोसिक्यूशन नहीं हो सकता. सीआरपीसी में क्या कह रहा है कि प्रोसिक्यूटेड भी हो गए तो भी नहीं हो सकता. बट सो इफ यू आर इनोसेंट, constitution protection will not apply. Okay, constitution ka protection will not apply. CRPC protection will still apply. Okay, CRPC protection में हम ये क्या कह रहे हैं, reason why it applies is because of res judicata. Res judicata is a legal concept. Res judicata is a legal concept by which the concept is that any judgment passed by the court should be treated as final and binding. तो कोर्ट ने innocent बोल दिया है, तो again you are free to go in appeal. वो मैं बता चुका हूं कि आप अपील कर सकते हैं. You can still go in appeal, but फिर से वही डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट, फिर से कितनी बार एक आदमी अपना इनोसेंस प्रूव करेगा? एक बार आपने प्रूव कर लिया अपना इनोसेंस, बात खत्म हो गई, राइट? What the CRPC also says, चलो ठीक है इनोसेंट तो हो गए, but even if you are innocent but the police has found a very strong new evidence, the police has found a very strong evidence against you, then the prosecution should be allowed for the second time, right? Then the prosecution of course should be allowed for the second time, right? Let's say पहली बार में क्या हुआ कि मर्डर वेपन ही नहीं मिला, कुछ नहीं मिला, so I was found to be innocent. Now the police has found the knife by which the murder was committed. The knife has the blood of the victim and the knife has my fingerprints. तो अब तो सिर्फ अपील की बात नहीं होनी चाहिए, राइट? दिस इज कंपेलिंग न्यू एविडेंस, दिस इज वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग evidence that has been found, and if such strong evidence has been found, then of course case can be reopened. That is only when the person is innocent, because अगर punishment भी हो चुका है then there are no exceptions, तब तो फिर से केस हो ही नहीं सकता, बिकॉज वैसे भी गिल्टी है, राइट? वैसे भी पनिशमेंट हो चुका है. अगर इनोसेंट है प्लस कंपेलिंग न्यू एविडेंस मिल रहा है, देन केस, दैट इज प्रोसिक्यूशन, राइट? देन प्रोसिक्यूशन कैन happen again. Okay, then the prosecution can happen again, right? I hope this is clear to everybody. Clear guys. I will also take a little bit of time the next time we meet in continuation of our constitutional law discussions. The right against self-incrimination. The right against self-incrimination is again a very important right. Particularly the Arushi Talwar case and so on is things that we're going to be looking at. नार्को टेस्ट अजमल कसाब के खिलाफ भी हुआ. ये नार्को टेस्ट अलग है, और हमारे बॉलीवुड ब्रोज जो हैं, what शाहरुख खान, आर्यन खान एंड अनन्या पांडे एंड रिया चक्रवर्ती लास्ट ईयर, और ये सब जो भी है, all of that would basically be things that we will be looking at in the next class and so on. If you're taking the subscription in the meanwhile, please do remember, if you like my classes, please do remember to use the code DEB10 for your additional discounts. Do remember to subscribe, get your notifications. Do stay in touch. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely evening ahead of you. Good night. Thank you very much.